Today we're going to bring in a new laptop. It's a Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Extreme Generation 4. We're going to take a look at it and we're going to see what's under the hood. First of all, it comes with an NVIDIA RTX A5000 laptop GPU. Now, including its Intel 11th generation, it's at 2.6 hertz, all right, 60 hertz, that's what it is. Now, it does have 32 gigs. It comes with 1 terabyte NVMe and M.2. We're going to take a look at it too and see what you can upgrade on this system. So, first of all, I just want to talk about the actual keyboard itself. The actual keyboard, has not changed in the ThinkPad too much, throughout the years. The only thing I've seen the upgrades on a couple of things is that you have the fingerprint reader on the actual power button, which now came out a while back too, and now everybody adopted. Now, the different features that this system has, it looks more like a Surface. It's thin as a Surface, just the actual monitor itself, but the actual casing itself, the actual keyboard part of it, it's a little thicker. Now, it does have the vents in the back, and it does throw out a lot of heat when you're working on a lot of these applications. If you guys notice, the actual speakers are pretty, they're right in the front. They're real strong, real powerful. If you're going to be gaming on the system, it's really good quality for gaming. If you're going to be working three-dimensional programs or any Autodesk, it's an actual really good system. Now, you're not going to get functions of a desktop, but it's capable of handling those applications. So let's go ahead and take a look at it and see what you get when you get something like this. So first of all, you get all the function keys up here, and with the function keys you could change certain things. You could turn off the mic, you could turn off the audios, you actually control the actual monitors. If you're going to replace, if you have multiple screens, you could control that through here. You could do the airport mode. You can pretty much control all these functions with the pictures that show you on the top. Where the actual F1 keys used to be, the F1s actually transfer into the function keys. Now you have a couple other items in here, and you still have that red mark, the red little mouse in here that they include. It's their trademark pretty much for many years. When ThinkPad used to be IBM, it was always there too. So it hasn't gone away. They continue to keep the same traditional setup. All right, first of all, about the ThinkPad. One thing I don't like about this, if you guys can see, it gets all the fingerprints. No matter how much oil you have in your hand or any oil, it still gets all the fingerprints. That's one thing I don't like about the actual black color that they have in here. But pretty much it's a well-built system. It's sturdy. It's not made for field operation, to be honest with you, because it's very fragile too. It's not one of those systems that you drop and it'll hold its structure. You might damage it too. So we're gonna take a look at some of the features. We're gonna go under the hood and see what I think about it and what you can upgrade. So let's go ahead and do that.
All right, let's take a look at the side panel. Here we're going to have on our SD card reader, we have two USBs, 3.1s if you can see, and then we have a lock system, and of course you have the power button right next to it. Look at the other side, you have a 3.1 jack, you got a HDMI, and then we have two type C's in here, two USBs, and then the power adapter. Right now we're charging it, so you'll see an indication of light coming in. Take a look at the actual camera. See, so you have two microphones right next to each other here, and then you got your actual camera with the shutter. Okay, now let you guys know, if you guys notice, we're gonna close the shutter out and it turns red automatically. That tells you that, you know, they're not going to be able to see you, pretty much blocking out the actual pinhole of the actual camera. And if you want to turn it on, just open it up like that. So this is going to be a manual thing to do. This is the camera. We're going to test it out now. Camera that's built in the actual system. And you guys know the cameras are not the best on the laptop, so if you want good quality, it's not best to use this one for any kind of high definition. This is only good for any kind of Zoom meetings or any kind of other meetings you're going to attend to, even Microsoft meetings and Teams and stuff like that. But this is not for if you want to display something or maybe teach somebody and write something on the board. You're not going to be able to see very good. If you guys notice, I don't have that much light in the back. I do have a fan and one single light, but just to let you guys know, just to see how it works. So I hope you guys enjoy this portion of the. All right, let's look at what all the heat, and this is the same kind of heat that's coming out. It's actually extremely hot in that area. We're talking about almost 120 degrees coming out on this area, particular area. It's just extremely hot, and this is just the top of it. So in the future, if you run projects just like what I was doing right now, you're gonna have issues functioning with the actual keyboard because it is extremely hot to the touch. I wouldn't recommend you working on the actual keyboards itself. You're gonna need an external keyboard because this is is actually emitting a lot of heat throughout the whole system, especially on these areas. If you guys see the hotspot, and look at my hand, it's not even as hot as the actual system itself. And right now it's because I'm running a high-end application, Lumium 12, and it's not capable of handling this application very well. You can see the suction of the airs underneath of it, of course, and then you can see the blue spots. That's where it's bringing all the air in, and it's in the intakes, and then it's taking and it's pushing all the air through the back. All the air is coming out right behind the actual monitor. Don't be surprised in the future, maybe you're gonna get monk functions on the actual monitor too itself. So that's another thing that I would kind of like keep an eye on that part. It's slimmed down, but it has a it sounds like it has a good video card, but in reality, you're not going to get a good quality video card, even though it has a name in front of it, the A5000. So it's not capable of running at that speed. But you guys notice, if you can't even keep up with an application as simple as this, I don't really recommend you guys to work any kind of AutoCAD or any kind of application, three-dimensional application. It's good for Adobe. It's good for maybe some video editing, but this is a problem that you're going to run in the future. It's going to heat up a lot. If it runs a lot, if your engine's running a lot of the GPU, this is going to happen to keeping it cool.
All right, if you guys can hear it, it's pretty loud when I'm trying to install an action on it. It's not that, I thought it was going to be quieter, but you can hear some of it. All right, we're gonna test out the surround sound on the actual speakers of the system, see how well they work, and see if it actually identifies left to right. So let's go ahead and do that. We're gonna do Lumium. We're gonna test it out with a software called Lumium, and this is a very powerful system that requires a lot of GPU. As you can see, the GPU, like I said, is an NVIDIA RTX A5000 laptop version. Now, compared to other systems, I would have got higher GPU if it's an RTX, maybe a 3080 RTX. Well, but the laptop GPUs are not exactly what they're meant to be. They actually slim down their version of the actual card itself. So if you guys can see, we do have 16 gigs of graphic memory, processing speed 2.60 hertz, right? And then we got the system 32 up to 32 gigs. Recommendation, we're just in the mark right here. It's recommended to go to 64 if you want to run this application really good. The marks, if you guys can see, we have plenty of room for these two. We just made it through the graphic card on this system. So this system is supposed to be made for graphics, but as you can see, is just hanging there by a thread. This is Lumium 12, just to let you guys know. We're going to take a look at it and just to see how good of the quality it is. So let's go ahead and take a look at the water effects, and we'll see how the engine works in here with it. And if you guys see it, you can actually see it breaking apart, but to some people it might be normal. I mean, but those that work in the graphic industry, you can tell that it's not normal. And let's go to the ocean to see more of the actual quality here. And the oceans are breaking apart. The ocean, if you guys can see it, it's breaking apart right here. You can see the engine struggling. I could hear the engine struggling. This is the percentage that we're getting. We're at 73%, and this is the quality that we're getting. So we're gonna go underwater to see if we could do that. And you can see the quality of it. And let's go see if we could sail to a sailboat. And I can feel the heat coming out, and we're just about to get to the boat when I can feel it struggling. So let's go into the boat and see if we can see the inside of the boat. There's nothing here. We're gonna go to sail this rich guy here. You know, one day it should be me up there. So pretty much you can see the land hole is far away. For objects there, if you're playing games, you're gonna struggle a little bit. This could run a lot of multiple games, good games in mostly every game that's out there. It could run. It's an RTX card that could run, but this will be running more like a RTX 3070 video card. To be honest with you, it's not going to be a 3080 RTX card. It's not as capable, as strong as, it's more like a 3070 video card quality. All right, now that it was a little difficult opening it up, but it was possible. I got a little credit card. I started from the actual back where the actual vents are, and you just push your way up. Now, you don't remove the actual screws. If you guys notice, don't remove the screws. They stay on the actual system itself. So right now, as you notice, you get one memory chip. It's covered up. It's here for the heat shields, if you guys can see that. It has one memory. It's 32 gigs built in. And not built in, it comes with it included, right? Or you could get cheaper versions of 16 gigs. Depends on the actual your budget. Now, you could also include another 32 to make it up to 64 on max on this system. 64 gigs of memory is max on the system itself. Now you get the intakes where all your fans are going to be sucking all the air in and they're blowing them out through the back. Of course, they go right behind the actual monitor itself. Now, one thing I noticed in here, the very simple things that you can upgrade would be the battery. So if you start getting batteries draining out too quick, it's not working, or maybe it's bulging too much or something's happening, you could replace the battery. It's very simple. There's a couple of screws you got to remove it, and there's instructions in here. They actually tell you where all the screws are set up, so you just follow those, remove the actual cable, disconnect it from here in the back. Once you disconnect it, it's pretty much simple to replace the battery itself. Now, another thing that I've noticed that it doesn't have a second slot for an M.2. M.2 right here is the original one, the NVIDIA. It's here. It's covered up with the actual copper base, because this system, if you guys notice, it has a lot of plastic covering a lot of components, because it does get it gets super hot. So where you have your Intel and your Intel and your GPU being covered by the system in here, they reside here. One's here and the other one's right next to it, but it's still going to overheat. In the future, you might have to want to replace the actual thermal paste. And that's a little difficult thing for, especially a machine of this quality. It's gonna be a little difficult to replace that part. I mean, you're gonna have to remove it, and they do give you instructions how to remove the actual whole setup. But sometimes it's elaborate. You're gonna actually void your warranty if you do that. But after a couple of years, you're not gonna have any warranty. So I would say go ahead and do that. I have replaced the thermal paste on some of these systems. Fortunately, that's the first thing that always goes, the thermal. It's cheap thermal paste they put in there. It doesn't last long, and when you guys see the heat that was overheating too much, you're gonna run into issues where it's just gonna shut off itself because of it has a temperature control system. Now, this does not have a SIM card, so you're not gonna be able to put any wireless SIM card or anything like that. Now, they do have components for this. If you want to put an Ethernet, a category 5 cable connection to it, they do have converters for it, and they do sell them multiple converters to use this system if you don't have enough actually connections too. So it does have the wireless. If you guys notice, the wireless is built in here, and the wires extended throughout the whole system, so you can get good quality 5.2 hertz on the actual system. I would balance it out to 2.4 to 5 hertz, so you can get a good reading on the actual wireless device. Depends on your walls too. So 5 hertz is pretty much a standard in the industry right now, but there's actually higher frequency and now available, but that's for another talk show. We could do some other stuff. So not that much. If you ever lock yourself off your BIOS, you can always, they do still include the battery, so it's easy to remove the battery, wait a couple of minutes, put it back in there. The system will automatically forget the system. You're gonna have to default a lot of the settings itself. You're gonna have to teach the system about your M.2, about how to start the OS and boot ups and all that stuff. So that's the only thing you have to worry about. The only thing you can upgrade is add an extra memory. You go upgrade the M.2, so something higher. Right now it's 1 terabyte. You go upgrade it to 2 terabytes, 3 terabytes, whatever your price can afford, and then you go replace the battery. Very simple. So overall, after testing this machine and doing all the functions and all that, running all the tests, my advice, if you're gonna go into gaming or if you're gonna go into three-dimensional applications, I would recommend you skip this machine and get something a little bit more kick on it, because it struggled, it overheat. They thin it down so much that not enough air being circulated properly in here, and it does get a little hot. In the future, you're going to run issues with your keyboard overheating. It's going to burn out some of the functions in there. Thermal paste is going to be one that you're going to have issues in the future. Some of the functions are going to stop working. It could be either memory chip because it's close to the CPU and GPU, and also your M.2. Everything's brought close together, and I don't think a lot of heat is being distributed properly. Even though they have all these covers just for that, you're still going to run into issues in the future if you're going to run these applications or you're going to be gaming. So my recommendation, if you're going to do these kind of functions, get something else instead of this. So great system for if you're going to travel. It's lightweight, very simple, easy to take with you. If you're a photographer or you're using Adobe, this is a good system. Video editing, you're going to struggle just a little bit here, but it's actually a good system for that too. So if you're looking for a student's computer, majoring in graphic design or three-dimensional applications, this is something they could use as a semi-entry level. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. 99.6 of you are not subscribers in my channel. I hope that the content helps you out and that you find it very useful. And I hope you hit the like and subscribe.